Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be reviewing a game that my student played against some random opponent online. And two reasons why before I even get into it, I want to mention why I wanted to review this game. Is one, it features a pretty common opening that you'll see that a lot of weaker players struggle with. But two, one of the players gets a pretty huge lead, and they do end up keeping the lead, but they bleed a lot of the lead away. So kind of when you have a lead, how to take that into a comfortable win as opposed to losing points left and right and having it end up being a pretty close game. But yeah, this was played online. The opponent and my student's ranks are 1-dan. My student is more... They've actually been improving at quite a rapid pace, so I don't know what their official rating is, but they're somewhere in the 3Q, 1Q range, on the cusp of 1-dan IRL at least. So yeah, so without further ado, let's jump into the game, and we'll see on Black's third move what opening I'm referring to, sanrensei. Now, this is a very famous opening, especially with players like Takamiya who love the cosmic style, and I think the reason why a lot of weaker players struggle with this opening, against the opening that is one, it just looks like Black gets a lot. Just visually, it looks like Black's getting an entire side, sometimes half of the board. And two, it's a very power-driven opening where Black is really going to go on the attack, and a lot of players, especially at the weaker levels, struggle when they're under attack. But the thing you have to realize is whoever is attacking, unless they have a very, very good position, it's very easy to avoid getting attacked pretty badly, or like getting attacked very viciously. It's actually pretty easy to avoid that when you get stronger. That's why nowadays you see a lot of territorial games, because that's where, because attacking is just really difficult to do efficiently and make it mean a lot during the game. So yeah, so there's many ways to deal with this. The first thing you need to do is take a deep breath. Because again, I know some players that will see this and already their heart rate starts to raise and they start sweating and they start panicking. But you do not want to panic, and you do not want any emotions that can affect your thinking affect your play. So anything, I'm going to just show a couple or a few things that you can do here, and they're not going to seem very outstanding, but that's the thing. You don't need to do anything outstanding to counter the sanrensei. So one thing you could do is simply just approach normally. And yeah, it might be like, oh, you might have been expecting something more crazy. But the thing you have to realize is, let's say Black backs off, right? Something like this. One, if you back off too, aren't you getting a same sized side as Black's bottom? Aren't they very similar in size now? Both sides are actually not super solid yet. So obviously there's still room for invasions, but aren't you getting a similar shape to sanrensei, right? So you have to remember that the thing that players often forget, weaker players often forget, is that the bottom side, like in this case, the bottom side of the board is not the entire board, right? There are still 3 other sides to fight over. So if you could have something that matches the bottom, it doesn't matter that your opponent has the bottom. So just playing something standard like this. Now, one thing you don't want to do, I'll say, is you don't want to approach from the inside. This will allow Black to use this center, center start point on the side effectively. They'll kick, and the thing with sanrenseis and moyos in general is even if you happen to kind of destroy one, they're often flexible. So let's say something like this, right? Let's say you go down like this, and then Black goes here, and then let's say, I don't know, you jump out somehow, right? Well, all of a sudden, Black could approach the upper left, and then Black's getting a similar side to what they could have had on the bottom, but now on the left side. So they have transferred the moyo from the bottom to the left. And I see this so many times, especially if a weaker player wants to play a even game with me, is I will make a moyo, I will let them live, and then I'll just make the moyo somewhere else, and then they invade that moyo, and then I let them live. Let them live small, that's the key, let them live small, and then I make the moyo somewhere else. And that's where you'll get games where one player has 1 or 2 groups and the other player has 4 or 5 groups, and those 4 or 5 groups are worth less than the 2 or 3 groups because each of these groups have to live. So yeah, don't play from the inside is the key. But if you play from the outside, common moves you could see are just jumping. You could also see pincer. Pincer is important too. I recommend just jumping into the corner. They should block at d3. I don't really see a reason why they would switch directions, because all of a sudden their k4 stone looks like it's in an awkward spot. So they should block here and do this. Now the old Joseki was to simply play b6, and then we'll get this kind of shape. But it turns out there is a better move for white, and it's simply to go here. Now, the first question is, why are we playing these moves to begin with, like at b6 or c2? Because we would like to be able to go here. We would like to be able to go here. The problem is we have this push and cut we have to deal with. So if we capture, black can then Hane on top, and we're going to get sealed in again. And again, this works nicely with the k4 stone, where we can't really resist by going here because now our shape's really bad, like really, really bad. So if we just capture, we'll get this kind of shape, like so. And we can see we haven't really gained that much compared to what black's getting on the outside. So we would like to find a way to avoid that. So that's why we play here. So if black goes elsewhere, now we are able to comfortably just Hane, and black has nothing to counterattack because black can't capture the c4 stones. So this move also does that, because if black answers, we are then able to push up and Hane. And if black cuts, the key is we do need to add an extra stone here, but that's fine. We just add a stone here, and we can see black's shape on the outside is destroyed. And yeah, if black descends, it's the same thing too. I'll see d2 a lot as well. So most commonly, you'll see this, which again, like if you do something like this, black Ataris, we can just see that these stones on the left side are getting isolated really badly. They're gonna be a target for white, and yeah, it's gonna be good for white. And the thing as well that with the sanrensei is you don't want to make points with the sanrensei. You want to have something to attack. But if in this kind of position, even if you're getting what looks like 6-line territory, it is still a little over concentrated, because look at the rest of the board. Where is black's other stones? All of black's stones are on the bottom. And again, if black has to keep adding stones like this, then okay, white's just going to get more elsewhere. So even if black gets the bottom, it's not going to matter. But if black has to, help this group, which there's not an easy way to help it, but it will be nice, something like this, well then black's bottom gets destroyed. So white takes the corner, black has a weakish group on the left, and black's bottom gets destroyed. So yeah, so black should block here. Black should block here. Don't block. Fight the urge to play d2. But that's going to be the problem you're going to find out is after this is Joseki. And funnily enough, white does not connect here, because white's already alive in the corner, and by connecting, we force black to fix their weaknesses, however they choose to do so. And it's better to leave the weakness of d8 alive than to save the few points here. So yeah, after this, white should just go elsewhere, actually. And the nice thing about c2 is now c2, if I ever invade the bottom, I now have a backdoor connection at moves like e2. So even if black comes on top like this, I can always start to connect with moves like e2. So that's where c2 is so powerful, is that I'm threatening to come and play into the bottom, but I'm also threatening to play up top at d6. So how can black prevent both? It's hard. It's hard. So, yeah, and another key thing to mention is even if black cuts here, like this cut is still potent. Because if black Atari's this way, now there's an Atari here that black needs to worry about. But if black Atari's this way, then in some cases this group gets isolated, and the left side gets isolated too, because now there's a peep at c10, and that peep looks super nice for white. Again, in this kind of position, it's probably a little too early, but you could imagine in some cases, peep and like back off, we can see the left side's very cramped for black. So yeah, even if though black gets a Ponuki here, it's still okay to let that happen. Yeah, so that's just if you approach. If you do this one, or that's if you approach and black pincers. If black backs off like this, you don't have to do this, but just the peep here and then dive under. Like even like this is good enough. Again, we get into that position where, okay, black gets the bottom, but I'm also getting the left side. So, you know, an eye for an eye. So, yeah. And you could even do this one. You don't need to do that peep either. So that's simple. Again, any sort of kick. Okay. Again, I'm getting a similar side to you. So yeah, those are all the standard ones. The ones you wouldn't see before, though, like pre-AI was this one. But nowadays, this is one, what AIs recommend the most, I'm pretty sure. And two, what I recommend the most. This is what I like to do. In fact, I believe it was this month I played an online game where somebody did sanrensei, and I did double 3-3. And it was good time. It was a good time. But yeah, so in this position, though, we can kind of predict black isn't going to block this way. Again, that direction doesn't feel correct, especially with this K4 stone. So black will most likely always block here. And nowadays, again, you'll see this kind of thing. And this is playable for black. This is playable for black. For both sides, I should say. White is happy here too. You have to realize that there's a lot of points in the corner. So even if black can get something on the bottom, white's corner is going to be worth it most of the time. And again, if you go somewhere else, anytime I start to play moves like c7, I am encroaching on your bottom moyo, but also building my own moyo on the left side. But you don't want to spend too many moves like with this, because this kind of move is not sente. I'll just go elsewhere. And later black goes elsewhere. Later there's push and cut. But if you ever block, I'm going to play these moves in sente. And now you have weaknesses. So again, it's one of those cases where, okay, black, even if you can get the bottom, that's all you're getting. I have the corner in the lower left. I have good moyo on the right side. And my upper left stone is untouched. And there's still a cut at d7. So yeah, that's why it's still okay for white. That's why it's still okay for white. Again, the key here is it takes a lot of moves to make points on the bottom. So and your opponent wants you to come in, right? That's the idea. So if you're smart about invading the bottom, that's what matters. But instead, black does the Hane here, which is going to make it worse for black. Because again, I don't think black wants to double Hane. Because again, white's left side is comparable and even in some cases bigger than what black's getting on the bottom, especially if we do this kind of sequence. Not that I think black would do this, but we can just see black is staying on the 6th line, but every time white adds a move, white's adding an extra line, right? So we can see that they are slightly different. So yeah, so black will probably do this, and white pushes and pushes. And the reason why this isn't so good is this weakness here at d5. Now there's not cut weakness, like there's never a problem with the ladder because of this net, but there is a weakness here. Now I do want to commend my student because they are applying something we talked about in a lesson, which again, that's, as a teacher, that's all you can hope for. In this case though, it's a little different. So if you saw my last video, I believe, which was the 4th round review of the 3rd Cleveland Go Club rating tournament, this sort of position came up, and my opponent, to my surprise, did this. And the move I ended up playing was h4. And the way I remember h4 is it's always a 1-space jump away from the middle start point. Because the board is always, or the 3-3 is on a symmetrical point on the board. So like if black does it this way, again, same thing. It's going to be a 1-space away from, a 1-space jump away from that middle start point. So that's how I remember it. Now the key here is that my stone is going to have a lot of aji. Or not even a lot of aji. Just a lot of ways that it can move. So if black plays some move like this, then I'm going to be able to make a base. But if black pincers, then I'm going to be able to peep and jump. And now this black's quote-unquote wall is actually under attack. So that's the idea with this. Here's the difference, though, is black didn't have a stone at K4. In the game, black already has the stone. If I can find the, there we go. Black already has the stone at H4, so it's a little different. Now black doesn't need to spend a move to pincer this stone, and black can actually get the first move to kind of force white in the direction they want. And this attachment is actually pretty good. Usually you wouldn't want to attach to potentially or stones you can potentially attack, but I was going through variations and I was like, okay, maybe this moves just fine, believe it or not. So instead of that move, I'll talk about what I would do. Instead, I would, a few things. One, I could just play here. And again, do something very similar where we just kind of almost ignore the bottom. Almost ignore the bottom. You could also play 3-3, which, again, I did in that online game the other day, or a few weeks ago. Again, I love this kind of style because I'm very confident in my ability to reduce. So again, if you're not confident in that, stick with openings that you prefer, that you are comfortable with. So again, if you're not comfortable with that, then I can't say it's bad. But this is just what I prefer. Again, you don't want to play anything that allows black to use their moyo/thickness. So just approach here or go here. Now, just for example's sake, I'm going to do this, and we're going to just assume black does the same thing because we are, as people, we are creatures of habit. So if black did it on the left, black will most likely do it on the right too. And I'll see that too in sanrensei games like this. Like I never see them then switch to this one. I always see them do the same one, which again is fine, but it's what I want as white. So here, so again, whenever you have this kind of position, right? This is the perfect example of you probably don't want to invade, right? You probably don't want to invade. So this is when you look to reduce. Now, what should you look for when you reduce? That's the big question. That's the big question. So the one thing that's a good start, I should say, is the sector line, right? Everybody knows or should know about the sector line. You take the two outer stones, you draw a line, and if you play on that line, you won't get too badly counterattacked is the idea. But I'm going to make an amendment to that is you don't want to just plop a stone down, right? Because like in this example, how many lines do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 14 potential places to play. Now, obviously, I don't think you would play super close to the walls, but still, maybe we have like 7 or 8 in the middle that we could choose from. So how do you pick which one to play? And that's where, again, I see a lot of players struggle, is they just kind of plop a stone down without much thought after that. But the problem if you do that, I kind of view this as you're kind of just stranded in the middle of the ocean because you have no helping stones nearby. And yeah, you're just stranded. Black could, in fact, just go elsewhere and attack from afar. And if you have to spend moves like this, then now you're playing stones in the center of the board. It's not going to be worth that much. So what I would recommend is think about the next move. So for example, a normal reducing technique or attachments and shoulder hits, right? So I'm looking at this K4 stone, and I would like to be able to get this shoulder hit, right? Again, it's a symmetrical position, so either shoulder hit is fine. But this is a move I'm looking at. And the problem in this case is when black is so strong, in a lot of cases, black can cap you. And the idea being, whichever way you play, I'm going to play the other way. So in this case, now I'm getting surrounded. If I do this one, though, now my shape, you can see this stone's in the perfect spot to basically be annoying for white, right? Basically be annoying. So when the shoulder hit is a little too deep or you're afraid of this cap, play here. Play here. And this is the move I would play and that I do play in this kind of position. As I threaten, or as I play here, the idea is, as opposed to this one where there's not really a follow-up, here I am threatening to shoulder hit. There is a follow-up. So instead of being stranded in the ocean, I actually have a rescue plan in mind. So even if black, and notice I'm even inside the sector line, right? If black caps, I will then shoulder hit. And my shape here is actually very strong. And what's even nicer in this position is, let's say black pushes. Black's pushing me towards this peep at P5. Right? So I've seen games where black goes here, and then I peep, and then I go this way. I'll see things like this. And so I give black the bottom, but then all of a sudden, this outside capping stone isn't worth much. And again, the bottom, black's just making like 5th line territory. But if black goes too hard trying to kill this, right? Maybe moves like this and maybe cap. Like even if I end up living, black's bottom will then not be secure. Like later I'll be able to play moves like O3, or I'll be able to come out this way. And yeah, and again, how can black, whenever you attack, you gotta look for profit. So how are these two stones at L9 and N10 gonna profit for black? So yeah. So you want to look for follow-ups. What that could mean then is playing a move like, oh, I don't know. No, I really think this is the only kind of move. And the other nice thing is, again, when you go here and let's say black says, oh, let me go elsewhere, right? When you go here and black goes elsewhere, or maybe black tries to go elsewhere, you can then shoulder hit. And this is severe. So, yeah. Now, you might say, like, here, like, okay, you are kind of threatening the shoulder hit, but it's not as effective because your shape's not as good. So, like, if black just pushes up, your shape's already kind of awkward, right? Like, if you jump here, yeah, your shape's just kind of awkward. It's just nowhere else. No other way to explain it. Just like, even if black just stands up here and you like go here, what is this stone at K8 doing? There's no way to make it into a good shape once black stands up like this. You just stand up like this. Again, like if it's like here, okay, peep. You stand up, just K8's in an awkward spot now, even though this is a large knight, whereas when it's like this, now L7 will basically always be good shape for white. So that's the difference. So I could play moves like this. So that's what I would do. Now, in the game, black went here. Now, this kind of move is, again, black is using what we've talked about in lessons. So, again, thumbs up to my student. But in this kind of case, it's still slightly better to play low because we get the possibility of coming under and living on the bottom. So, like, let's say black caps, right? Well, already we're almost alive already because we can play here, and if black hanes, we can play this one, and then we can hane here. Basically saying we have double Atari here, so you can't be too aggressive. And if you connect, then I'm just going to easily make a base, right? So the fact that we're low means it's easier for us to make a base. Now, if black kicks us, the idea here is we're going to treat things lightly. So then we will jump here. If we stand up, again, we're going to get heavy. So this is the perfect time to, after the kick, play almost at the shape point of black. And again, I think something like this happened in, must have been the second Cleveland Go Club rating tournament. Either second or first against a player named Garrett Germany, if you want to search the game up, where black had this almost this kind of shape, and I play, after they kicked, I jumped here. And it's basically treating my stones lightly. Like if black does this, that's already a good exchange for me. I could You don't want to just block because now we're heavy. But you could play a move like this. And if black pushes, then we jump up. And again, look at how many points black's making here, right? It's very inefficient. If black hanes, again, now we have ladder potentials. We have ladder potential. And if black just connects again, guess what? We just leave it. Right now, we don't have a ladder, but maybe later we can or do. And if black has to spend a move like this, then okay. Then you're adding more stones, or black's getting over-concentrated here. So, yeah, I would play low in this case, only because now when black has the stone at k4, black can attack more easily now. So I want to be able to threaten to be able to make a base. I want to threaten to be able to make a base. Yes. So, yeah, but white goes here. Usually you don't want to attach, but I think in this case it's okay. And then white does get the peep. So again, white is looking for this peep, but white's shape is just really awkward here. So what I mean by that is when white jumps here, which is a nice light shape, this push here is just hard for white to find a good move, a good response. The reason why it's so hard is obviously if you block to stay connected, this cut here is super painful. Like if you have to connect, now I just have some floating stones right up against black's thickness. Even if I can like wrap around with this kind of Atari, I still need to live on the bottom and I can't connect my stones. So that would be painful too. And remember, black also has sente-ish moves with this kind of thing, which really hurt the corner. So yeah, I got to be careful with that as well. But if I stand up, and this is probably why white doesn't do it, is black just seals white in. And again, even if I can live on the bottom, which is going to be uncomfortable, but let's say we do that. We do this. Maybe we Atari here. Hane. Again, even if we can live, which again, it looks doubtful, but we'll just be nice to white. Something like this, right? Then we get into that position of, oh, now black's just going to make the moyo on the right side now. So it doesn't matter that we broke up black's bottom moyo when black can make the moyo again on the left side. And this is what you want when you have moyos. You don't necessarily need to kill or feel like you want to kill. Well, everyone wants to kill, so you shouldn't feel like you need to kill. You just need to surround, force them to live small, and then kind of make your moyo somewhere else. So, yeah. So if black had just pushed here, it's tough for white. Again, if this kind of thing happens, then white's also cut off. But black tries to surround like this. And again, this move looks so simple, doesn't it? Just taking away liberty from here, threatening to cut. Yet it's so powerful. When black goes here, though, everything's going to collapse. Because white cuts, which is correct. And then black pulls back. And then white just pushes through. And black can't cover. Now black can't seal white in. Now black can't seal white in. So even this, though, I would prefer to what happens in the game. Because at least black can somewhat seal white in still. Okay, white captured 2 stones, but maybe there's something, or I can salvage the outside still. But what happens in the game is black realizes that and says, oh, I'm going to help those stones. And white extends. This is a little greedy, or at least not what I would have done. I would just Atari and then just like maybe even connect it here. Basically saying, okay, you can't cut me. Just kind of like what we looked at, although maybe just even Hane here. Yeah, maybe just even Hane here, or just come out, something like this. We're threatening to pull this stone out, and we're just out. And we've broken up the bottom, and there's nothing black can do. When we stand up, we're adding a potentially... We're basically making the fight more complicated, and now black could... now... Instead of capturing just 1 stone, black could capture 2 stones. But again, it is keeping black separated. So if this is the kind of game white wants, maybe it's okay. Black Hanes, Hane back. Yeah, here I think black should really want to extend once more. It really helps the liberties of these 4 stones. That's more of a feeling thing, and we'll see how quickly it turns awry for black. But when you Hane here, if you're gonna Hane, you have to extend or fix or do something. Yeah. You have the ladder. Yeah, you have the ladder, so maybe just extend here. Yeah, this would be better for black. Black fixes here, which not only is this bad timing, but the wrong first move. Black should either... black should cut here first. Black should definitely cut here first. The idea being, okay, I only fix here because h4 is on the board. So I should ask first if white cares about h4. Because I will only play j5 if h4 is alive. If h4 isn't alive, and let's say white does something else, right? Then instead of going here, I could just capture or do something else, right? But if I go here first, it's an order of moves things. If I go here first and then cut, white's just going to give it up because I've already fixed the weakness here at j5. Whereas if white saves, we can see there's still a cut here. So maybe that's tantalizing for white. Maybe having that cut still there is helpful for white. Now when I connect, and then let's say we do something else. Well, now I've forced white to add an extra stone. So now it's worth more for me to capture it all. So this is one of the cases of, and I'm still trying to find an eloquent way of saying it, but before you do something, and again, that something is left up in kind of up to, what's the word? Like it changes. It's a case-by-case basis, so it's kind of left up in the air. What it is in that case is it could be before you capture something, before you fix something, before you live, before you do whatever it could be. You want to you kind of want to force your opponent to play as if you haven't fixed yet, or in case you haven't lived yet, because they might play differently once you have lived. So that's the same idea. So now black has connected here. h4 has lost value, so white will play differently. It's the whole idea. So white cuts and then just stands up, and then white just captures the 4 stones. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So not only did black lose 4 stones, but those were the key stones that, remember, we have 2 crosscuts here. These 4 stones are part of both crosscuts, and black lost them. So now all of white stones are connected, and all of a sudden the left side is isolated. Black cuts, and white comes in. And again, I wouldn't have personally done this, but if white feels confident about their play, they can do this. Only because for which side has more potential for white? The right side or the bottom? The right side. So I would be prioritizing building the right side because there's more potential for me on the right side. So even if black plays something like this, maybe we do this. Maybe black wedges, although it's not great. Something like this, right? There's more potential for me on the right side. Whereas, and also this is no problems here, right, for white. When you go here, not only are you playing in a small area where there's not that many points for you, you're also playing, once again, where black is strong. So black could put you under pressure and attack you. Now again, I will say white's attacking is, because white's my student, their attacking is getting a lot better. Or not attack, their shape recognition. Because I know a lot of players that would jump, but they realize, okay, I'm getting surrounded, so let me come out. And here, there's only one move. There's only one move to play here. Can you see it? Do you see it? Goblin's Nose. This is the perfect move. This is the perfect move. You're not only hitting the shape weakness of the 2 stones at M7, but you're also hitting you're playing the correct shape to separate that large knight that they just played from M7 to P6. And black tries to cut here, but it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Black connects. The reason why black has to connect is you would like to be able to go here, and if white cuts, oh, okay, you capture 2 stones, but I capture these 2 stones, which are worth more. White can actually just Atari like this and capture the cutting stones, which is, of course, worth more. So again, this is perfect. I don't know if this was reading or just perfect shape recognition, but sometimes just playing good shape, you fall into good sequences. Just by playing good shape, you can fall into good sequences. So, yeah, that's where shape recognition is so important, is because without much reading, I can just tell that this move is going to work because it hits all the weaknesses of black shape. Now, you don't want to rely on that too much because then you're going to get lazy. But in this case, it just works perfectly fine. This works perfectly fine. So, yeah, this was awesome. This was awesome. So, instead for black, I think black should maybe play like this. And then if white comes out, do something like this. Or maybe something like this even. Yeah. Because what happens in the game is after this, black fixes, but then white cuts, and then pushes through, and black's shape just can't hold. Black was there. Hane. Here, this was a mistake. White can simply just fix here, because there is enough Aji that after this, on the outside, to be able to connect here. So if black does play here, we can just cut. We can just cut. And yeah, black shape is destroyed. If black goes here, then we capture the right side. If black tries to save, we can just see that this Atari. And then we can cover. If we're even able to get this move first, which threatens the 4 stones, then if black does that, we could even just ladder. So that'd be nice. If black has to play like this move, then all of a sudden black has another weak group, and white's getting a ton on the right side. So white could have connected. When black fixes, then white could have blocked. And yeah, that would have been much better. When you go here and black fixes, now black's right side is quite solid. Black's right side is quite solid. Because even after this, there's still Aji with peeping here, because we're threatening to pull out the stone with this peep like this. And again, depends on the board position, but if we're able to throw in, we can see that black shape is not so good. It's not so good. So you go there and black takes, there's even a potential weakness there, which white did an okay job fixing until the very end. So one right here. Right now, there's no problem, because if black ever cuts, we can just capture. And if black Hanes, we can, I guess, simply just Hane, right? Yeah, we can just Hane. Yeah, we can just Hane. And there should be no problem, because black still cannot cut because black's too low on liberties. So no problems there. But white descends, okay. And then black goes here. And then white connects. But this connect is such a big mistake because black can cut here. This cuts an Atari. So if you have to connect, which you kind of do, then black cuts there. And now black has saved the stones. And now white actually doesn't even have a base. So this is one of those cases of there's a lot of ways for white to fix this problem, starting with simply saving the stone here, whether you play this one or this one. That would have fixed the problem because there's no weakness in white's shape. Here, there's not a problem right now at all. And then here, yeah, ignoring. And yeah, but black goes here. Descends. Connect. And then P1. P1 is very surprising to me. Very, very surprising. And then white goes here. This is Endgame. It's very endgamey. Now, it is probably Sente, but you had a better move of L2. L2 just works clean. No problems. It's just one of those cases of, especially when second line clamps like this, you almost always want to do regardless, because they're just very annoying for your opponent. Now, in this case, in this specific case, it works perfectly fine, because if black goes down, we capture. But even, let's say black doesn't have that, right? And black goes elsewhere. There's just a lot of bad Aji if black goes here. So for example, I think we can just stand up and start to connect back like this. So yeah. So just in general, if you can get the second line clamp, it is quite good. In this case, it works even better, but it just goes there. But yeah, so look at this result. White took the corner and captured those 4 stones in the center. And so you might be thinking, okay, well, this is a done deal. But when you got like low dons and high Qs, anything can happen. Because even here, black still has a weak group on the left side. And so here, I would be putting maximum pressure on the black group with moves like this to really emphasize the top. When you go there, black can just kind of make a base and for the most part be okay. But black goes here, which again, I'm going to prioritize a huge moyo up top. And even if black, because black can't push and cut, that's the key. Black can't push and cut. Even if black can go here, okay, I'll just connect. And yeah, black is making a couple points with their used to be thickness, which that's a win. That's a win. When I connect, again, when black turns, just surround. Just surround. When you push here, you're keeping the attack alive, but this is where you can profit right now. Profit huge. Because if black has to play a moves like this, just look how much we're profiting up top in the upper left. So in the game, when I push here, black blocks, which again is not good, not proper direction. Black should just extend. We play there, sure. This is fine, but here, again, just surround. Just surround. If black has to connect on the second line, that's a win, right? Even we add a stone here. Look how much we've gained and look how little black has gotten. Look how little black has gotten. Though in this case, you maybe don't do that last exchange because we do have to worry about a semi here, but this should be okay. Right here, we're fine. And then you'd go somewhere else and look how many points black has made with their moyo. When you descend, again, locally, there's not a lot of points here. All you're doing is you're keeping the attack alive, but locally, you don't get any points here. So when black plays here, which again is very ugly, black should just jump instead. But regardless, black is able to come out now. Now, again, you are getting a wall this way, but black is going to be able to, as we see in the game, reduce the left side. But you do end it with this nice nice shape here. So that is good. Black is there. You go elsewhere. And black's alive, but black turns. Again, you can gain... when you're playing people your level, you can gain a lot. Trust me, you can gain a lot by just prioritizing big moves once a fight is over. A lot of players don't know when fights are over. So, like in this case, if the lower left is alive, it is big enough to just play elsewhere. It's big enough to just play elsewhere. When you descend, it's gote. And even if black can do this in sente, which black can, this is totally black's right to be able to do this. Okay, black's reduced me by a few points, whereas I got this move at 0.17. If I go here, well then black's able to play something up top and take out the entire top. So, yeah, but black answers. So then white plays somewhere, and then black pushes and turns again. Oh, it's so slow. You're already alive, black. You're already alive, black. But so now white just has to decide, okay, what can I do, right? And so it looks like white just has a huge lead. A huge lead. I like this move for white. Here, this move is wrong direction here because these two stones have lost value now once the right side has lived and the bottom side. So this is proper direction because I don't care about these two stones. If black, like Atari's here, okay. Okay, black, you can have them. Right, look at the direction white gets. When you save here, black pushes here, which is, again, the wrong shape. Black can just go here. But regardless, you can't block now because you're heavy now. You're heavy now. So again, we get all this, but black's able to push through. Now, this is the wrong order. Maybe this push is okay, and maybe this one. But now, black should play a move up top. Black shouldn't add all these extra pushes because it loses Aji up top. But black comes in, kick, yes, and then cover, sure. I think this move, slightly better, but separating is the key. Black comes under, and then diagonal, and then jump. Yeah, here you can be confident and just cover. When you're so strong, this kind of cut shouldn't feel dangerous for you. Because even if you end up losing, feel like you end up losing the stone at K17, here's what you have to remember, is that capturing the one stone there is not an eye. So if we can play this kind of move and black has to capture, and we combine it with something like N18, You can just see how that's not even an eye. Even if we just descend, you can just see there's no eye there. And where's black's one eye, and then where's black's second eye? And when you have all this thickness in the center, you can play this way because there's no way for black to make an eye in the center. So yeah, this is giving black a bigger base, which of course means black is getting more eye space. Black pushes and cuts. Okay. Then cover. Cover, yep. And then connect, sure. The thing is, yeah, this connect is okay, and then turn. And then play there. Yeah, I don't really know what's going on here because black's not running anywhere. So if we just fix here, I don't see how black saves these stones. You still can't save the 4 here, by the way, because this is just, I think I forgot to show it earlier, but this is the Tetsuji to save or to capture the 4 stones. So if white just connects, but white just, it's reducing the liberties, which again is correct. That is what you want to do. But then white forgets the plan. All white needed to do here is count the liberties on black. Black has 3 liberties. All of a sudden, hey, look, white has 4 liberties. So white could just start capturing or filling in liberties. But white jumps here, which this is very rarely ever the move because it's as if you made a shape that black is already double peeping. Which, that's when you put it like that, that sounds pretty bad, doesn't it? So, yeah. Yeah, if anything, you can just play here and then descend down. Again, all you need is more than 3 liberties. So even if black turns, okay, we can start to capture. And remember, when you have this much thickness, black cannot really extend liberties. Still have 3. Still have 3. Still have 3, right? When you have all this thickness, you can play these moves, which in a lot of cases would look pretty awkward and bad, but in this case are okay. So, yeah. When you play here, black comes down. Oh, no, black pushes first. Even allowing white a chance to save the important stones. Because remember, this is a crosscut. It's not just a crosscut here, but it's also a crosscut here. So we have a double crosscut. The 2 center stones of opposing colors are the most important because if either side gets captured of the middle color, both sides connect. And so what I mean by that is if white gets captured, black connects all 3 groups. But if black gets captured here, white connects all 3 groups. And in turn, separates the 2 black groups. So, yeah. They come down. And then, yeah. Black just captures. White had enough liberties here to just capture in the center. But white forced black to take a liberty here and then win the semi-eye. So, again, maybe... And I've been here too. You know, I've been in the position of, okay, would you just resign black? Like, you're so far behind. But this is why you can't get complacent. Because anything can happen and go. That's why we play and that's why we love the game. Anything can happen. So you got to have your A game at all times. And then white goes here and then here. Which, yes, is sente. But where's the point value here? There is none. Instead, we can use this as... to get some points in the center in sente, right? Even if black can do all this first, okay, we've now created some points in the center. That's not terrible. But there is no point value here, and we'll see that black even reduces the center because, yeah, white even added a stone here. White even added a stone when white could have played in this way and not have to do that. And the even crazier thing is even after black takes the entire top, white is still leading. And we're getting into that fragmented board position for black, where black has 4 groups, but they're not that big. Like the left side got super small when black kept adding stones, so that's only like 4 or 5 points. The bottom side isn't nothing to go home about. So, yeah, it's still enough for white. So then black, so again, I understand black's play here. I got to do something, so let me do this. And the move here is just to play Q18. It's just to play Q18. If black stands up, which is probably the only move, and you block, there is Aji here you have to worry about, but there's a good Tetsuji to know in the corner to capture black, and it's the belly of the 2 stones. And it works extra nice in the corner because if black blocks this way, 2 liberties. Can't get more than that. If we do anything else, then still 2 liberties. Whereas if you play any other move, like after this, black's already had gotten enough liberties. So that's why S18 is the move. But okay, let's say black wants to live, right? Well, if we try to kill something like this, well, now it's different. Now black will actually be able to capture the 4 stones, or the 3 stones in this case. Because now, even though we've got S18, we can't play at the key spot R19. So this would be not so good for white. But instead of trying to kill, we can play Q18. And if black has to live, then we've actually probably gained more by capturing the 2 stones here. This is not small at all. So, and black's only made a couple points in the upper left and the upper right. So yeah, so Q18 is the proper way. This move can work as long as you just wedge. Yeah, as long as you just wedge, because black cannot go here. There is not enough liberties here. If something like this happens. Yeah, there shouldn't be enough liberties. Is there enough liberties? There actually, I guess black can go here. So maybe there is enough liberties to go there. But if you do cut and then just descend, now, again, you're giving things up on a smaller scale. Basically, Q18 is a key spot. So when black goes, or white goes here and black connects, again, white's going to be bleeding points here. And when you go here, this is okay, like an okay squeeze, but the difference is black can actually Atari here and avoid the squeeze. Because if you connect, well, then I Atari and then capture. So black can go here. So you actually don't get that good of a squeeze. So I'd prefer if white went here. This would be how you would get the squeeze that you're looking for. Yes. What's funny though is black goes here and white plays here. This is a big spot, and then Ataris. Again, this is wrong order. It's kind of like at the bottom when black played J5. It's play here first. And in this case, it's different because it just works. But the same premise kind of applies, is you would only play this if you had to. So force your opponent to make sure they want you to do it. Now again, in this case, it just works for black. But if it didn't, you could Atari here and then Atari. But you would only add that stone if white had already saved the stone at M17, which white can't. Yep, go there. So yeah, so S18 is huge then. S18 is huge then. Play there, yep. Take. I like white going elsewhere though. And you'll see this with weaker players. They'll just like capture stones when they're not worth that much. But you know, it's fine. Crawl, that's okay. I think it is better to do it this way. Yeah, because if you do this one first, later if you Hane, obviously black can just cover. So yeah, and then if black ever does Atari here, it's not anything I'm concerned about. So but yeah, we're in endgame and black has caught up a lot. You know, now black didn't just take some stones in the upper left, but now black captured the stones at 018 and got into the corner. And it was still not enough, believe it or not. So even after all the blunders white made in late middle game, after the first fight, it was actually not enough. So that's kind of crazy. So here, this is a famous shape, or a shape everyone should know, is A2. That is the move to play. It is just a better shape. While this looks like the shape point, because you make an eye there, in the corner, this is a better shape. And even not in the corner, on the side, this is also the better shape. Yeah, this is a better shape. Because what we see is black connects and white goes there. So the reason why white went there is white wasn't sure about this move. Because if black plays here, there's some problems. If we connect here, then we get a Seki. Now, it turns out this actually isn't a problem because we can play at B2. But that's why white went here, I'm assuming, is because it couldn't quite read if it was Seki or not. But in that case, then you can just see you're losing points. You're bleeding points. So, yeah, that's why you do this one. Now we can just clearly see there's no problem in that shape at all. But we go there. But yeah, overall, I was, pleased. Again, as a teacher, I was pleased with what my student did in this game. I was very impressed with how they handled the bottom. But it was just as the game progressed, again, I don't know if it was just laziness because they're like, please resign black, or I know sometimes they play games while they're at work, which, as you can probably guess, isn't really conducive to great Go, or a combination of both. But definitely some huge misreads up top and kind of misjudgments on what's going on. Really brought black back into the game, which, yeah, was not enough for black to get back into the game, believe it or not. It's white by around 20-ish. And we're quickly going through endgame here. Now, what's kind of interesting is black does actually resign right at the end here. At least according to the keyframe I got, black resigned. Which is, that's good. Like, black can tell they're behind. But it was like white by 20. And that was after black took the entire top. Which is kind of crazy, isn't it? But yeah, it's a game where you can actually look. White has all 4 corners and the center. And 3 groups as opposed to black's 4 groups. So yeah, I always try to just look at the end of the game and just see like how many groups each player has, because it's not 100%, but oftentimes whoever has less groups ends up winning, because it's less groups you have to take care of. Like, we saw how many moves black spent here to just have to live, and it was because black got separated from the bottom group. So yeah, but overall a very solid game, especially for my student who's improving. I'm very happy with what we saw here. But yeah, it's a good game because, again, how do you take a game that you're clearly winning and kind of not let your foot off the gas, but also sanrensei. Wanted to talk about sanrensei. But yeah, this video has been going long. I apologize for that. Got a little too into the sanrensei. Maybe this is a mini sanrensei lecture and then a game review after. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you all in the next video.